Bitcoin is perfect money. Once you understand that, you realize everything you used for money in the past is toxic. Your capital is toxic. Your currency is toxic. We've been living in a world where the doctors bleed you to death. We're living in a world where they inject garbage and sludge into your brains. You're living in a world where you're eating stuff which is poisonous, right? The cure is stop putting toxic stuff in your system. The orange pill is that cure. We need to spread that cure to the world.
Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a compelling talk by Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor begins by presenting Bitcoin as the epitome of perfect money. According to him, once you grasp this idea, you start seeing traditional currencies and capital as toxic. Saylor uses vivid analogies, comparing the use of conventional money to being bled by doctors in medieval times or having your brain injected with sludge. He suggests that we live in a world where the financial systems are fundamentally flawed and detrimental to our economic health. Saylor posits is what he calls the orange pill embracing Bitcoin. He emphasizes the need to spread this cure worldwide. However, he advises against positioning Bitcoin in opposition to fiat currencies. Instead, he advocates for promoting Bitcoin for its inherent qualities and advantages rather than directly attacking traditional financial systems.
Bitcoin is perfect money. Once you understand that, you realize everything you used for money in the past is toxic. Your capital is toxic. Your currency is toxic. We've been living in a world where the doctors bleed you to death. We're living in a world where they inject garbage and sludge into your brains. You're living in a world where you're eating stuff which is poisonous, right? The cure is stop putting toxic stuff in your system. The orange pill is that cure. We need to spread that cure to the world. And how are we going to spread it? Rule number 14. Before Bitcoin, don't be against fiat. Before Bitcoin, not against fiat, right? If you go to Bernard Arnault, one of the richest men in the world, and you say to Bernard, well, here's a good business, selling handbags, selling luxury items. Bernard realizes he's not going to take all his money and buy euros or buy dollar bonds or buy pesos. But that doesn't mean he won't price his handbags in euros and dollars, right? The richest man in the world still will price things in a local currency, recognizing that people would rather trade the currency for the handbag, or trade the currency for the champagne, or trade the currency for the Bitcoin, right? We're for something which is beautiful and elegant and powerful and inspirational. We don't need to be against the other thing. At the end of the day, 99% of all the wealth in the world is going to be in something other than the currency, and half of it will probably be in Bitcoin. Let's just be for it. Only invest the money you can afford to lose. If I ran a casino with the deck stacked against you, I would put that as a disclaimer in my ads. Come to my casino, but only gamble the money you can afford to lose. If I ran some sort of, investment company scam and I wanted to take your money and buy swampland in Florida, or I wanted to gamble on a bunch of companies I didn't understand, I say, hey, only invest the money you can afford to lose. When you actually say only invest the money you can afford to lose in my crypto token or my casino or in my investment whatever or my idea, you're making a moral equivalence to gambling with the odds against you, right? You're basically saying there's nothing better about what I'm offering than any foolish game that you're likely to lose. If I run a bar, and you ask me, well, how's your bar? I said, well, we serve really good drinks, but you should probably only come here on evenings when you don't have to work the next day. That's honest, right? You're going to get drunk in my bar, you're going to underperform the next day. I'm being honest with you. But, nobody ever said, hey, only put the kids on the school bus that you don't need me to return. Only buy a ticket on my airplane if you don't need to reach the destination. Right? The engineers of the world don't say, hey, don't drive across my bridge if you really need to reach the other side. And so what I say is only buy Bitcoin with the money you can't afford to lose. I'm not going to equivocate. You shouldn't equivocate. People that equivocate don't understand Bitcoin, and they still don't get the idea of perfect money. We didn't invest in it because we wanted to take a risk. We invested in it, out of disgust with the world that forces us to take risk with everything else, where the risks are stacked against us and undisclosed. Bitcoin's better. When you embrace Bitcoin, you realize that your entire world is defined by a bunch of synthetic metrics. The CPI might come in as this, and the PPI might be that, and the employment rate is 2% or 3%, even though half of you don't have a job, and the ones that have a job aren't making as much as they were making, and everything costs 50% more. But the GDP is this, and the nominal GDP looks like that. But of course, we use the market basket of synthetic crap you don't want to buy to calculate the nominal and the real GDP. That's the matrix. You're living in the matrix. And rule number 10 is very simple. It's tickets to escape the matrix are priced in Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin, you cannot buy your way out of the matrix. And until you understand that you need to buy your way out of the matrix with Bitcoin, you don't understand the matrix and you don't understand Bitcoin.
Saylor points out that many influential figures, such as Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, don't understand Bitcoin because they don't have a need to. He suggests that people who are comfortable within the current financial system often lack the incentive to explore alternatives. Conversely, those facing economic hardship or instability are more likely to grasp Bitcoin's value. According to Saylor, Bitcoin challenges and ultimately destroys many of the traditional financial models and economic theories developed over millennia. He compares it to the arrival of advanced technology in ancient warfare, rendering previous strategies obsolete. For Saylor, Bitcoin is a disruptive force that necessitates a complete rethinking of how economies are structured and managed.
Bitcoin insight, it's restricted to those with a need to know. You look at Bitcoin, you don't understand it. Charlie Munger doesn't understand it. Warren Buffett doesn't understand it. The bankers don't understand it. The rich people that you hate don't understand it. They don't need to know. That's why they can't see it, right? When you're comfortable and you live in the Western world and everything looks just fine to you and your cousin works at the bank, you don't have a need to know. When you have a need to know and your world comes crashing down, when you're looking at imminent death, when you're looking over the edge of the abyss, then you will understand and you will see Bitcoin for what it is. So don't be shocked when people look at it and they don't get it. They don't have a need to know. Rule number 12, all your models will be destroyed. I'm talking your political models, everything that we learned over 10,000 years. How do you run a city? How do you run a company? How do you run a country? How do you understand economics? What is inflation? What is economic prosperity? What is a job? Why should I do this? When you're looking backwards, all these people, they want to look at time series of historic stuff. All I see is a bunch of statisticians analyzing people with chariots and bows and arrows and camels and elephants, fighting in wars 3,000 years ago, and we show up with explosives and aircraft, and they're trying to back test their models and figure out, how explosives and aircraft impact the way they organize their elephants. It's like all the models, they don't really make any sense anymore. If you understand Bitcoin, you realize you got to throw them all away. When Godzilla walks onto the playground, all your models are worthless. They're all going to be destroyed. Bitcoin's for everybody. Rule number 15. It's for the people you don't like. It's for the AI bot that took your job is going to run on Bitcoin. You'll be mad about the fact that the robo-taxi took your job or the robot took your job, but you should be happy about the fact that the robo-taxi that took your job runs on Bitcoin and wanted to buy your Bitcoin and drove up the price of your Bitcoin by a factor of 10 or 100 or 1,000, right? Your enemy is going to buy Bitcoin. The people that launch the ETF and buy the ETF that you don't agree with, that come from a place you don't like, they're going to drive up the value of your Bitcoin by a factor of 1,000. And you don't have to like them, and you don't have to embrace their ideology. What you should realize is the more people that join the Bitcoin system, whether they're your friend, your enemy, the religion you love, the religion you don't care for, the country that you're at odds with, they're all helping Bitcoin. And if you are true to Bitcoin, they'll be helping you.
Saylor's advocacy for Bitcoin is rooted in a practical desire to preserve and grow wealth in an increasingly volatile financial world. He points out that as the global economy faces various crises, the stability and decentralized nature of Bitcoin make it an attractive alternative to traditional assets. He foresees a future where a significant portion of global wealth is stored in Bitcoin, providing a hedge against economic instability and inflation. Saylor concludes with a long-term vision for Bitcoin. He predicts that over time, Bitcoin will become a cornerstone of global finance, embraced by a diverse array of participants, from individuals to large institutions. This widespread adoption will be driven by the recognition of Bitcoin's superior qualities as a store of value and its potential to transform the financial landscape. Please like and subscribe my channel.